Believing in yourself is the foundation of everything you will ever become. It's not just about confidence, it's about conviction. When you truly believe in your own ability to rise, you unlock a version of yourself that no circumstance can destroy. Most people underestimate the power of belief because they think success is about luck, opportunity, or connections. But those things only appear after belief is built. The moment you decide in your heart that you are capable, that moment the universe starts to align with that decision. Everything great you'll ever achieve begins within your own mind, and that belief becomes the seed of transformation. When you look around and no one supports you, belief becomes your anchor. It's what keeps you steady when everything feels uncertain. You start realizing that no one can see what you see because the vision wasn't given to them. It was placed inside you for a reason, and that means you can't rely on others to validate it. When you believe in yourself, you give yourself permission to start. You stop asking for approval, and you begin taking action even when you're unsure of the outcome. That's when growth begins, when you act in faith, not fear. Self-belief is not arrogance, it's awareness. It's recognizing that you have potential that has not yet been expressed. It's knowing that your life has meaning even when the world doesn't reflect it back to you. Most people quit because they don't see instant proof that their work matters, but those who believe keep going because they understand that proof always follows persistence. Every small step you take in belief builds momentum, and every act of consistency strengthens your confidence. There will be times when that belief feels like the only thing you have. No one's clapping, no one's checking in, and no one's encouraging you. Those are the moments that test your faith in yourself. Can you still move forward when your efforts are unseen? Can you still speak life into yourself when everything seems silent? Those questions separate dreamers from doers. Self-belief doesn't remove struggle. It teaches you how to walk through it without giving up. When you truly believe in yourself, you stop blaming circumstances. You stop saying, I can't because, and you start saying, I will until. You stop measuring your worth by other people's opinions because belief gives you internal validation. You stop chasing praise and start chasing purpose. That shift changes everything. It turns obstacles into opportunities and delays into preparation. Belief allows you to see lessons where others see losses. Your belief will often be tested the hardest when your breakthrough is near. The pressure will increase, the doubts will grow louder, and you'll question whether you're on the right path. But belief is the inner voice that reminds you why you started. It's the quiet strength that keeps you showing up. It's the invisible force that tells you, keep going. You're closer than you think. Every champion has had that moment where belief was all they had left, and they chose to hold on to it until results appeared. Belief in yourself also changes the way you handle failure. You no longer see it as the end, but as part of the process. You begin to understand that each setback is feedback, a redirection, not rejection. Belief helps you separate who you are from what happens to you. It allows you to see failure as an event, not an identity. That's why people with strong self-belief never stay down for long. They learn, they adjust, they rise again. Self-belief also shapes the energy you carry. When you walk into a room with conviction, people feel it. When you speak with confidence, people listen. When you act with certainty, opportunities open. Belief doesn't just change how you see yourself, it changes how the world sees you. The stronger your inner faith becomes, the more the world begins to respond to that faith. It's not magic, it's alignment. What you carry internally eventually manifests externally. Every great accomplishment in history began with someone who dared to believe before the evidence showed up. Every invention, every movement, every success story was built by a person who refused to doubt their vision even when no one else could understand it. That's the power of belief. It doesn't wait for validation, it creates it. It gives you the courage to start, the strength to continue, and the faith to finish. When you build that kind of belief, you stop needing to be motivated by others. You become your own motivator. You wake up each day with a sense of purpose, knowing that the only permission you need is your own. You stop living in the shadow of other people's opinions and start walking in the light of your own confidence. And that belief, pure, unshakable, relentless belief, becomes the foundation that supports every dream, every goal, and every breakthrough you were born to create. Loneliness has a way of revealing who you really are. When the noise fades and the crowd disappears, you're left face to face with your own thoughts, your own fears, your own potential. Most people dread that silence, but it's in that silence that the strongest version of you begins to emerge. It's where you learn to stop depending on the world to validate you and start depending on the strength God placed inside of you. When no one else is around to encourage you, you learn how to speak life into your own soul. You learn how to keep walking even when the road feels empty. Being alone doesn't mean you're forgotten. It means you're being prepared. Every season of isolation has a purpose. It teaches you how to rely on your own faith, your own discipline, your own focus. It's a time where distractions are removed so development can begin. You start to see what truly matters. You begin to value peace over attention and purpose over popularity. You start to understand that isolation is not a punishment. It's an opportunity to build something powerful within yourself. When you have no one cheering for you, you learn how to clap for yourself. When no one checks on you, you learn how to check in with your own growth. The people who achieve the most in life are those who have mastered the art of being alone without falling apart. They know that silence can be sacred when you use it right. They turn that stillness into strategy, that loneliness into focus, that emptiness into energy. Isolation becomes the breeding ground for clarity. It's in the quiet moments that your vision gets sharper. Without the opinions and expectations of others clouding your judgment, you can finally hear your own voice clearly. You start asking yourself the questions that matter. What do I really want? What am I capable of? What's been holding me back? And those questions, when answered honestly, create the foundation for growth. You stop chasing what looks good and start building what feels right. Most people never realize how powerful loneliness can be because they keep running from it. They fill every silence with noise and every moment alone with distraction. But those who face it head on find gold hidden in the quiet. They find strength they never knew they had. They learn to stand tall without the need for validation. They stop being desperate for company and start becoming comfortable with their own presence. That's when confidence begins to grow, not the loud kind, but the calm kind that doesn't need to prove itself. When you go through a season where no one is there for you, you're actually being equipped for the next level of your life. Every great leader, every successful person has had a season like that. A season of being unseen, unappreciated, and misunderstood. It's in those times that your character is built. You learn patience. You develop endurance. You discover what it means to stay consistent even when no one is watching. That's where real strength comes from. There's something sacred about walking alone for a while. It gives you time to heal, time to grow, time to reset. You stop trying to impress and start trying to improve. You stop begging for attention and start building intention. Loneliness strips away everything superficial and leaves you with truth. It shows you who's really in control of your destiny, you. It's in those solitary seasons that you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. People often think being alone means being behind, but that's not true. Being alone gives you space to move ahead. While everyone else is distracted by comparison and competition, you're developing in silence. You're sharpening your skills, deepening your mindset, and building your foundation. When your time comes, you'll move with power because you spent your hidden season wisely. You weren't wasting time. You were preparing for the time. It's easy to feel forgotten when no one notices your effort. But the truth is, no one needs to see your growth for it to be real. The seed doesn't announce when it's planted. It simply grows underground until it's ready to break through. Your isolation is your underground season. It's where the roots of your greatness take hold. Don't despise it. Learn from it. Lean into it. Let it strengthen you so deeply that when you rise, you never need external support again. And when you finally step out of that lonely place, you'll realize something powerful. You didn't need anyone else to get ahead. You needed discipline, focus, and faith. You needed silence to hear your purpose clearly. You needed separation to prepare for elevation. You needed time alone to discover that the person you were waiting for to save you was always you. Rejection has a way of shaking you to your core, but it also has a way of building you into something unstoppable. Every no that life gives you carries a hidden lesson, a quiet redirection towards something better. Most people take rejection personally and stop trying, but those who rise above it understand that rejection is never the end. It's a test of belief. It asks, how much do you really want it? Every door that closes is not a failure. It's feedback. It's showing you what needs to grow, what needs to shift, and what you're truly made of. When people turn their backs on you, it can hurt deeply. But that pain has power if you choose to use it. Rejection strips away comfort and forces you to build strength. It takes away approval and makes you stand on conviction. It teaches you that you don't need everyone's support to move forward. You just need enough courage to keep moving. Every rejection can either break you or build you, and the choice is always yours. When you decide to let rejection fuel your determination instead of your doubt, you begin to rise with a new level of resilience. Every successful person you've ever heard of has faced rejection countless times. They were told they weren't good enough, smart enough, or talented enough, but instead of quitting, they used every denial as a reason to work harder. They turned no into motivation, and every setback became a setup for a comeback. That's how winners think. They don't get stuck asking, why me? They ask, what now? And they get to work. Because rejection only defines you if you let it. Rejection is also life's way of protection. Sometimes the things or people that reject you are actually things that would have delayed you, distracted you, or destroyed you. You can't see it in the moment, but with time you realize that rejection was redirection. It was God's way of moving you away from what wasn't meant for you so you could find what truly is. When you trust that, rejection stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like alignment. Every no becomes a sign that you're being guided towards something greater. The power of rejection is that it reveals your true hunger. Anyone can stay motivated when things go right, but how do you respond when doors slam in your face? Do you stop or do you knock louder? Do you shrink back, or do you find another way in? The people who get ahead are the ones who turn pain into purpose, who turn disappointment into determination. They refuse to let rejection silence them. They keep showing up because they understand that consistency will always outlast resistance. When you're rejected, you're given a chance to refine your approach. It's feedback telling you there's something more to learn, something more to strengthen. Maybe your timing was off, or your skill needed sharpening, or your mindset needed growth. Whatever it is, rejection gives you the opportunity to adjust. It's not an ending, it's an education. And the more you learn to use it wisely, the stronger and wiser you become. Every no that you endure is adding fuel to your fire. It's building patience, discipline, and humility. It's teaching you to appreciate success when it finally arrives. Without rejection, you'd never develop resilience. Without failure, you'd never build focus. Without opposition, you'd never find your inner power. That's why rejection isn't your enemy. It's your greatest ally in disguise. It sharpens your vision and strengthens your drive. Rejection also separates the weak from the strong. Most people crumble when they're denied, but those who are destined for greatness see it as an opportunity to prove themselves. They don't need validation to stay consistent. They keep pushing because they understand that the real win is becoming better through the process. They know that every rejection adds a layer of strength to their character. It builds toughness that can't be taught, only experienced. The moment you stop fearing rejection, you become dangerous. Because now, no matter who doubts you, no matter who says no, you keep moving. You stop depending on approval and start depending on faith. You learn how to stand firm in your purpose, knowing that one yes can change your life, but that yes only comes after many no's. And the truth is that no's are what make you ready for the yes. You have to learn how to take rejection personally, but not negatively. Let it hit your heart enough to light a fire, but not enough to stop your fight. Every time you're told you're not enough, let that be the reason you rise higher. Let it push you to improve, to grow, to prove, not to others, but to yourself, that you are capable. Because when you learn to turn rejection into energy, you stop being defined by what people said and start being defined by what you decided. Becoming your own source of motivation is one of the most powerful transformations you can ever experience. Most people spend their lives waiting for someone to inspire them, waiting for a friend to push them, or waiting for the right circumstances to begin. But the truth is, external motivation fades quickly. The kind of drive that lasts must come from within. It's the kind of fire that doesn't need applause, doesn't need validation, and doesn't wait for perfect conditions. When you become your own source of motivation, you take full control of your destiny. You stop waiting and start moving. It begins when you realize that no one is responsible for your success but you. The world can encourage you, but it can't carry you. Your friends can cheer for you, but they can't make you believe in yourself. That belief has to be built daily through discipline and consistency. You learn to wake up with purpose, not because someone told you to, but because you decided that your dreams matter too much to be delayed another day. The moment you take ownership of your drive, you become unstoppable. Being your own motivator means learning to speak power into your own life. You start talking to yourself differently. You stop saying, I can't do this, and start saying, I'll find a way to do this. You stop saying, I'm tired, and start saying, I'm getting stronger. You stop saying, no one believes in me, and start saying, I believe in myself enough to keep going. The words you speak become the energy you live by, and that energy becomes the foundation of your results. There will be days when you don't feel like moving, when your progress feels invisible, and when the weight of your goals feels too heavy to carry. Those are the moments where inner motivation matters most. That's when you learn to push yourself, not because you feel inspired, but because you made a promise to yourself that you refuse to break. You stop negotiating with your excuses and start reminding yourself why you started. True motivation doesn't come from emotion. It comes from commitment. When you learn to motivate yourself, you stop depending on the outside world to make you feel worthy. You stop needing people to recognize your effort because you already know your value. You stop chasing attention and start chasing alignment. You find joy not in being seen, but in becoming who you're meant to be. That's when your energy shifts. You start to attract opportunities naturally because your mindset is locked on progress, not approval. Becoming your own motivator also means embracing discipline over desire. Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you consistent. You won't always feel like doing the work, but when you learn to move despite your mood, that's when growth begins. Every small decision to stay consistent builds trust within yourself. You begin to realize that you can rely on you. And once you trust yourself, you no longer wait for others to lead. You lead yourself. It's not about pretending that you don't need anyone. It's about knowing that even if no one shows up for you, you'll still show up for yourself. You'll still give your best, still stay focused, still keep pushing forward. You become the kind of person who doesn't crumble when support disappears because your strength comes from a deeper source. That kind of independence doesn't make you cold. It makes you confident. It allows you to give love and encouragement freely without needing it in return. When you become your own motivator, setbacks don't stop you anymore. They might slow you down, but they don't define you. You see failure as feedback, not finality. You understand that progress isn't always visible, but it's always happening. You learn to celebrate small wins and find energy in every bit of improvement. You don't wait for milestones to feel proud. You feel proud simply because you're still showing up, still growing, still pushing forward. Motivating yourself also means staying grounded in purpose. You stop comparing your path to anyone else's because you understand that your journey is unique. You realize that consistency is more important than speed and progress is more valuable than perfection. Every single day you stay committed, you build a future that reflects your faith, your focus, and your fight. The longer you stay the course, the more unstoppable you become. There comes a point where self-motivation becomes a lifestyle. You don't need to wait for Monday to start or for someone to remind you what's at stake. You already know. You move because it's who you are now, driven, focused, and determined. You wake up with purpose, not pressure. You remind yourself daily that the life you're building depends on the choices you make when no one's watching. That's what separates those who dream from those who do. The decision to keep moving forward, even when the only voice cheering is your own.